Dear students, we are in the 21st part of the hand complex, wrist and hand complex. So continuing in the extrinsic finger flexors, we have been talking about the FDS and FTP, and now to understand more about the finger flexor grasp. See, here you can see that we have power grips, that is precisional grip and prehensile grips. And in the power grips, especially when we are talking about effective use of both FDS and FTP along with the counterbalancing effort from the extensor muscles such as EDC and ECRB. So for that, now we have to understand with the picture given above. You see, earlier we have understood that the mobility which was from the radial towards ulnar side, both in the starting from the radiocarpal joint towards the metacarpophalangeal joint, where we understood that the flexion extension range is also increasing in the PAP as well as DAP joints, and this ability of the little and the ring finger to move more than that of the index and the middle finger, it helps in gripping. For example, in the figure you can see a person gripping a stick or something like a cylindrical power grip, which is. So these kind of grips, the power can be efficiently transferred with the help of difference in the range of flexion. You can see that here the index finger is not coming towards to the anterior part, so that means that the size of the tool is better to have a size of the tool that the index finger will have how they can hold it in a lesser range of motion, and downward if they can, the little finger can hold it in a larger flexor area. So the amount of flexion in the little and ring finger can vary. So according to the varying degrees, the efficiency of grip will increase. So the greater the available range of MCP and IP joint flexion in the ring and little finger in comparison with the index or long fingers means that long flexors of the ring and the little fingers must shorten over a great range, resulting in a loss of tension in muscles of those fingers. For that only, if you need to use a tool and to effectively give more pressure, that means that if you see the handle of any object with a good biomechanical understanding, then you will see that the grip will downwards towards the little and ring finger, the object will be having a larger diameter. So larger diameter towards the little and ring finger, and lesser diameter towards the so that means that the grip is going to be very strong. The object will not move away from the hand. So that is wider ulnarly than radially, so it's called as pistol grip. This grip is called as pistol grip. So the grip is essentially, simply speaking, towards the little and ring finger, the the cylindrical grip should be larger diameter. Towards the ring finger, index finger, it should be smaller. So larger towards the ulnar side, lesser size towards the radial side. This is the best grip, and it is called as pistol grip. So coming to the mechanisms of finger flexion. Now we are coming to the mechanism of biomechanical mechanism of finger flexion. Optimal function of FDS. When we say optimal, means effective, very good, fine function, maximal function with less energy need, is called as optimal function of FDS and FDP muscles depend not only on stabilization by the wrist musculature but also intact flexor gliding mechanism. Now you understood that we have this long tendon, so it is not only stabilization and torque production, also important is how the flexor tendons are gliding, because you know that lot of pulleys, annular pulleys, and you have the transverse metacarpal link, all those, it is the tendons are passing through the flexor retinacula, all those structures. So the gliding mechanism we have studied in the first chapter regarding the friction forces. So friction should not happen. If friction happens, proper gliding will not happen, and it will lead to some damages. So the gliding mechanisms consisting of The mechanism of gliding in the finger flexor consists of flexor retinaculae, bursae, digital tendon sheaths. The fibrous retinacular structures, proximal flexor retinaculum, transverse carpal ligaments, and the extensor retinaculum tether the long flexor tendons to the hand. The bursae and the tendon sheaths facilitate friction-free excursion of the tendons on the fibrous retinaculae. The retinaculae prevent bowstringing. Other help is preventing bowstring. One is preventing friction. Next is that is improving gliding mechanism. Next is preventing bowstringing of the tendon. Bowstringing means tendon coming out of the pulleys or whatever structures there. That would result in the loss of, so when they will come out, what will happen? Loss of excursion and work efficiency in contracting muscles that pass under them. So work efficiency will go when they go for bowstringing. The tendons must be anchored. So in order to tendons not to come out, what should happen? There should be proper anchoring, fixing in a particular area, anchored without interfering with their excursion and without creating friction force. So to prevent bowstringing and to prevent friction, what should be there? Proper anchoring is needed. But this anchoring should not create friction or create excursion. So that if that comes, what will happen? Degeneration of tendons over time may happen. So how does that happen without excursion? So here you can see earlier we have studied how the flexor digitorum superficialis and how the flexor digitorum profundus, how they are kept. See, profundus are kept in the 4 layers down, and then the 2 by 2 layer of the flexor. So in between you have see all the bursae, all the flap of synovial membranes are present. You can see that also in the tendon you can see all these tendons. Take any tendon, you can see that it is having a tendon sheath. So tendon sheath is a synovial sheath inside which synovial like fluid are present. Here you can see the flexor retinaculum. See how the tendons are passing through the, so here the tendon may gliding and sliding mechanism of all these tendons. Especially you are seeing all the important flexor tendons here, flexor retinacula and the transverse ligaments, deep transverse ligaments are also in the wrist. You can see that. So these mechanism, so as the tendons of FDPS and FDS and FDP muscles cross the wrist to enter this, so what is a proximal flexor retinaculum and the carpal tunnel and the transverse carpal ligament, they have to pass through that. So this figure shows you how the flexi, you can see the transverse carpal ligament. See, it is forming the part of the flexor retinaculum, and this you can see all this is preventing lot of structures. Synovial membranes are kept, and then tendon sheaths. These are preventing friction forces. So friction between the tendons themselves and friction of the tendons over the overlying the TCL are prevented by radial ulnar bursa that envelops the flexor tendons at this level. This figure already we have seen. Again I am showing you here. You can see this is the ulnar bursa. You can see the ulnar bursa, which is the covering the all from this area, the whole area it is covering, and then see it is going to the little finger. The bursa extends to the little finger also, flexor digitae minime, and here on the radial, see radial bursa, it is going to the thumb. The thumb flexor muscles is covered by the radial bursa, and here you can see that the other tendons you can see clearly. It is also to show you how they are, the ligaments are positioned. Here this is a deep transverse metacarpal ligament, and here you can see the annular pulleys. So here you can see one, this is an annular pulley A1, A2, A3, A4, A5. All these parallelly running pulleys are called as annular pulleys. So annular pulleys here also, all the 4 fingers you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then you can see cross oblique pulleys also, cruciate pulleys. The annular pulleys are otherwise called as vaginal ligaments. So these ligaments actually are anchoring mechanism. They are anchoring the tendons of the FDP and FDS towards the phalanx, so that they don't come out of the another picture. Next slide you can understand what is how they prevent bowstringing. So cruciate ligaments you have 1, 2 and 3. See, cruciate means cross. this small cross ligament 1, then second here. So this is 1, 2 and 3. We have 3 cruciate ligament, 5 annular ligaments in the fingers. For the this one, what you call is the thumb, we have only 2 annular ligaments. See, 1 annular ligament here, 1 annular ligament here. The only 1 oblique ligament or oblique ligament is only 1%. So altogether 3 only in the thumb area, but they are larger compared to that of the annular ligaments of the 4 fingers. So here you can see the how the flexor, see this is campus chiasma. The flexor digitorum superficialis after the first phalanx, then reaching the middle phalanx, they are splitting and attaching to the, and from inside this campus chiasma, FDP comes out and goes and attaches to the distal phalanx. So in this figure you can see all the mechanism, everything. Don't forget to try to learn to draw this figure. Friction between the tendons themselves and friction of the tendons on the overlying TCL, or that is the transverse carpal ligaments, are prevented by radial ulnar bursae that envelops the flexor tendons at this level. All 8 tendons of FDP and FTS, 4 and 4, 8 tendons are invested in the common bursa known as the, all of them are inside which bursa? The whole this thing is called as ulnar bursa. The whole this thing is, all the tendons are coming invested inside the ulnar bursa. So what they will prevent friction, they will prevent friction, improve gliding mechanisms, and also preventing bowstringing by the help of bursae, as well as the anchoring by the annular pulleys and the cruciate ligaments. So the bursa is compartmentalized to prevent friction of the tendon on tendon. Again, tendon on tendon also it will create friction, not only tendon on ligaments. So tendon on tendon should be also be, that is also prevented. The flexor pollicis longus muscle that accompanies FDS and FDP muscles through the carpal tunnel is encased on its own radial bursa. So here it is entering, all the tendons are entering FDP, FDC, yes, but the flexor pollicis longus, the only tendon, is covered also by the radial bursa. So radial and ulnar bursa contains synovial fluid that minimizes frictional forces. See here you are seeing a sagittal view. You can see this is a transverse, deep transverse metacarpal ligament, annular pulley number 1, number 2, and number 3, and number 4 and 5. We can see here. This is a cruciate ligament. This crossing is a cruciate ligament. So here you can see we have one cruciate ligament should be here, but it's not visible. So we have 1 and 2 here visibly in this. So we should be having 1, 2, 3, 4 only. In this figure only you are seeing 4 annular pulley. One more should be here, but they have not shown because they want to show the attachment of which muscle is this? FDP. So FDS, here it will split, here it will be splitting and then go and attach to the right side. They have not shown here. So campus curve. So if bowstringing means, if this anchoring is not there, my dear students, if you think about that, if this annular pulley is not there, what will happen? The tendon will come out. Tendon will come out of the finger and it will go and touch the skin and other vascular structures. That will reduce the efficiency of flexor mechanism. The FDP, the FDS and FDP tendons of each finger pass through a fibrous osseous tunnel that comprises 5 transversely oriented annular pulley, 5 transversely oriented annular pulleys or vaginal ligaments, as well as 3 obliquely oriented cruciate pulleys. The first 2 annular pulleys lie closely together, with one designated as A1 pulley at the head of the metacarpal, and the second larger one A2 along the volar midshaft of the proximal phalanx. So metacarpal, first metacarpal, head of the metacarpal, that's what we have, the deep transverse ligament also, metacarpal ligament also, whereas other will be, so first pulley is designated there. And the second are one large A2 along the volar midshaft of the proximal phalanx. Second will be the volar midshaft of the first phalanx, that is proximal phalanx A2. Then you have the A3, third annular pulley lies at the most distal part of the proximal phalanx, the proximal phalanx distant part, and the fourth A4 lies centrally on the middle phalanx, A5 at the distal phalanx. So distal phalanx here it is not shown.